Well, there are many games that have tried to claim the live service mantle. Very few have succeeded in the space, and one of them is Destiny 2, which I would argue has had one of its best years ever this year. And we are 7 years into the lifespan of the series at this point, which makes that even more impressive. This is a game that is kind of an evolution of the paid subscription MMO model, in that now it is free to play, technically, and yet it keeps adding paid seasonal content and paid expansions over time. This year has been a really significant moment for Destiny 2 in terms of kind of how it has evolved its live service capabilities, spooling up after Bungie's departure from Activision and allowing it to kind of be fully realized for maybe the first time ever in terms of its total capabilities in terms of putting out consistent, high-quality live content. The results have been unavoidably obvious if you've been tracking kind of player count for the game. Each season has been more popular than the season before it this year. Interest in the game is kind of snowballing over time, and as kind of good word of mouth spreads about how the game is doing these days, more and more people are jumping in. Bungie says they have added an additional 20 million Guardians since the game went free to play or since they left Activision originally. So that's building on an already massive player base. The game is consistently one of the top 10 games in Steam these days, kind of just only below the staples that will never leave the tops of those charts, Dota and PUBG and things like that. But it is very high performing and has kind of cracked the live service code in a way that other games have not. We have seen many games kind of come and go, either as rather large failures like Anthem, or ones that just sort of fade eventually and never really truly get the live thing down. Like I would say the Division 2 did this well for a while, but is not really kind of at the same level as Destiny in terms of producing this content. And other games are just pretending like they're not live services at this point. Games like Borderlands and Outriders have specifically said they're not live service, and yet it's mostly just because they can't produce the same kind of consistent content as Destiny, and they're just trying to stick with a more traditional DLC expansion model, whereas Destiny has figured out live content in a way that has really worked. Destiny has really opened things up this year in terms of how they both tell stories and debut content in seasonal content offerings, where they have invested a ton of work into bolstering their story components, whereas previously you may have had one character have voice work over the course of a given season and everything else was kind of told in text format. They now have 5-6 voice actors a season. They have cutscenes, they have in-game interactive moments, they have lore pages, they have voice dialogue during missions. They are telling one kind of consistent story across all of these seasons. So if you've been following along for the whole year, you've gotten kind of a really clear picture and arc for a lot of these characters. And it is connected in a way that Destiny really has never been to this point. And this entire year has kind of flowed into the upcoming expansion, The Witch Queen, in a way that we have never seen before from the series. And it has been a very rewarding experience to engage with Destiny this year if you're a player. They have created a lot of great actual kind of physical content to do, a lot of great weapons, a lot of great activities. And then this season, they have made a number of huge changes that have gone over really well with the community in terms of sort of a renewed focus on PvP activities with a Trials of Osiris rework for their kind of higher end PvP content. And they introduced a number of kind of new systems to the game that are really, really engaging players. And this has been the sort of best year to play Destiny to date because of how much effort has gone into the seasonal content and what everyone believes is coming in The Witch Queen, which should be the game's most significant expansion to date. At least that's how it's shaping up to be. And also, Destiny fans can kind of feel confident investing in the franchise because Bungie has very publicly stated that they are in this for the very long term. We have 2 other expansions mapped out past The Witch Queen already, and Bungie has publicly stated that Destiny 2 content will continue after those 2, just kind of in a different saga, which means Destiny 2 content will probably exist throughout this entire console generation at the very least, and that's not even to say the series ends after that. Bungie is expanding Destiny into multimedia. That is their kind of new project they're taking on. So we should see announcements for some sort of comic or novel or TV series or movie in the coming months and years. And the game has been such a success that it is kind of the backbone of the entire expansion of the company now, which will also make additional games coming up. But this is kind of the best state the game has ever been in terms of the volume of content it's producing and the quality of the seasonal content that we just don't see across many other games. The only kind of comparable offerings are paid MMO subscriptions like Final Fantasy XIV or the gacha-funded Genshin Impact, which is also, these games are also producing solid content, but Bungie is kind of unique in doing it with the model they have been in terms of no subscriptions, no loot box-like mechanics, something like that, just paid seasonal content and microtransactions, and it's kind of been very fascinating to watch this unfold over the past few years and see the game snowball both in terms of popularity and also the quality of content that's come out for it. So if anyone is looking at a live service model, it is definitely Destiny, and that does not seem like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon.